You're listening to eCommerce Fastlane, the podcast show to help you build, manage, grow, and scale a successful and thriving company, powered by Shopify. Listen to real conversations with partners and subject matter experts as they share proven practical strategies, platforms, and the best Shopify apps to help you accelerate your business. The time is now for you to improve efficiencies, grow revenue, profit, and lifetime customer loyalty. Please welcome your host, startup founder and strategic advisor, Steve Hutt.
Welcome back to eCommerce Fastlane. I'm your host, Steve Hutt, and today I'm joined by Mike Manheimer, who's the Chief Customer Officer at PostScript. Now, this guy wears a lot of hats, actually, because he's actually both customer success and he's the marketing team lead. It's so interesting. I kind of creeped on his LinkedIn profile before recording today, and he has a lot of e-commerce experience that he's actually bringing to PostScript. And really, if you don't know who PostScript is, it's a platform that's really changing how Shopify brands kind of approach text marketing, like SMS marketing. And under his leadership, from what I can see, is the company is really there to help merchants kind of deliver more relevant messages, like through what they call the smart automation, and it's kind of powered by data-driven insight. We're going to learn a lot about this sort of technology they have. It's very unique. And I think that another thing I love about them too, I've been recommending PostScript for years, but they have a very systematic approach to testing and optimization. Like, the old saying is that, if you're not testing, you're not evolving in the business. You just don't know if what you're actually doing currently, if it's the most successful campaign. And that's one thing about PostScript is they have a very unique testing and optimization process. And what it does is it really tries to understand what is resonating with customers, and they analyze all the messages' performances, and they also understand the customer's behavior patterns, once these messages are sent. So it's really interesting. I'm hoping to unpack a lot of things about the strengths of their platform, how to boost campaign performance. I think right now we're in a really good time. We're post BFCM right now. I think a lot of people are looking back and go, was it successful for us from an SMS channel perspective? And I think today we're going to learn a lot about, was it or was it not? And then what can we do moving forward for the remainder of Q4? And what does that mean rolling into Q1 of 2025? So, hi, Mike. Welcome to eCommerce Fastlane.
Thanks, Steve. Super excited to be here.
This is lovely. Like I said at the top of the show, I have been a massive, massive fan of PostScript. And part of the reason why right away, I'm going to get this out of the way because it's so true. I see the scrolling of a lot of premier brands that have vetted SMS solutions along the way. I'm thinking like True Classic or the Ridge Wallet Company, the Caraway, the home decor, Pots and Pan Company, and Groove Life. There's so many incredible brands. But one brand that I know I brought over was Dr. Squatch, the men's soap company. And it's just so clear the reasons why these brands, I believe, have chosen to go with PostScript is because your flag is in the sand when it comes to Shopify. You exclusively have designed your solution for Shopify-powered brands. And I find that very unique. And kudos to you guys.
Yeah, thanks. The Shopify ecosystem is core to PostScript's DNA. We have only served Shopify merchants from the start. And that's really helped us go much deeper on the channel and the core use cases of Shopify direct-to-consumer merchants than I think some other solutions. And when people consider partnering with a vendor, I think what they're really looking for is focus on performance, understanding of their use cases, and where they can find what they would consider to be like a real partner and not just a vendor. And we're really focused on trying to meet that bar.
Yeah, this is amazing. So I want to hear a little bit about you. I mean, once again, I had the luxury of kind of prepping for today. And I think we travel in the same circuit a bit, just being kind of in e-commerce. But there's going to be people listening today and saying, well, who is Mike and what's his story? Can you talk about just your journey into SMS marketing, how you got involved with PostScript? I just would love to understand about you wearing a lot of hats right now from both the customer success side of the business and then also the marketing side. Have you gained any insights kind of straddling both of these kind of business areas? I find it quite unique.
Yeah, my career has been a journey. I think it's been marked by trying new things. So I spent my entire career in software, but I have always tried to find new opportunities to expand my knowledge. And so when I joined PostScript, even though PostScript is a B2B software business, it was the first time that I had worked for a company that was selling to e-commerce merchants. that was about 4 years ago. And so when I joined PostScript, I kind of had to learn the e-commerce side of the software business from scratch. And I've really, really enjoyed it. There's something about being able to partner with entrepreneurs that is just really, really exciting. And there's nothing like helping people sell something that you can actually like touch and feel that's a physical good. And so it just makes the work that we're doing on the software side that much more real. On the marketing and customer side of things, you're right. I currently lead both our marketing team and our post-sales team, which has been very, very interesting. But the through line on that is like, I'm a marketer, right? PostScript sells to marketers. And so whether or not we're selling to someone from scratch or we're servicing them and trying to improve their usage of the SMS channel, ultimately we are talking to marketers. We have to be deeply familiar with what marketers care about and how they think. And so, a long time ago in my career, someone asked me a question about, like, where should a particular department report? And I read in a book, I forget what the title was, it's escaping me right now, but the answer in there was, whoever has the time and the passion for it is the person who should probably be responsible for that team. And that really stuck with me. So when the opportunity came up to not just lead the marketing organization, but also lead the post-sales organization, I kind of checked in with myself and said, you know what? I spend tons of times with our customers already. I am like our internal persona of the people we actually sell to and serve. And so, I felt like across the organization, I was probably like best suited to lead both teams. And so, I raised my hand and it's been really, really fun. I always, always love any opportunity I can take to get closer to our customers. I think that's where a lot of the value is and where I get a lot of enjoyment out of my work. So this change has been really, really fun and definitely very enriching to my work experience at PostScript. Plus, it's a new challenge and I'm always seeking those out.
Yeah, I love that too. I'm in the same boat as you. It's nice to being really close to the fold. I was with Shopify for 6.5 years and I had my own startup and exit and agency work. And this podcast has been running now. I'm just rolling into season 8 now. And it's really exciting to be that close and to I only do maybe 60 shows a year. And like knowing that I'm having you on today, it's just like, I have a finite amount of time, but I really want to get the message and story out and educate brands depending on where they are in their maturity and their complexity. It's just like there's opportunity out there to learn about what's new and great. One thing I noticed about just SMS in general, this is more anecdotally, and I'm sure you have some feedback on this, but I find most people in the past that got involved, and I'm laughing a bit because I being merchant facing myself at Shopify, there was many times when brands would literally just like blast text messages out or blast emails out, the pray and spray kind of mentality. And I know that that's not a reality at all anymore from a PostScript perspective. And I know you've added a lot of, I did, once again, looked at the website and now, with a new solution now with your AI options now. And so I think it's really cool, this PostScript AI. And so can you talk a little bit about how things have changed from this pray and spray kind of concept? And I believe it's a whole different world now about having more of an AI-powered approach to how brands can interact with their customers through their mobile phones.
Yeah, the channel has matured a ton. In the early days, you were kind of getting this like arbitrage with SMS. Not a lot of people were doing it. So when you sent a text to somebody, it was very novel and it had insanely high engagement rates because it was, the new hot channel.
Yeah, right.
Now, SMS is a lot more mature. And so most people are doing SMS at this point. And so the bar of what it takes to stand out inside of a customer's messaging app is going up every single day. And so that maturity of the channel has really led to more competition on the channel, which requires all marketers to be a little bit more thoughtful about what they're doing to be able to provide those really strong results. Now, what we're seeing now, which is really, really interesting and has been changing every year, is some of our customers are making just as much just as much revenue or more than they are from email. Whereas if you went back 5 or 6 years, you would have seen SMS being, maybe 10% of the owned marketing revenue and 90% of it coming from email. That's becoming a lot more 50-50 in 2024. And we expect that trend to continue. That also means that the strategies that you put forward on the channel need to be that much more engaging. And so that's kind of led to the natural evolution of AI entering the SMS space. AI allows us to not replace what marketers are doing, but to simply extend the marketing team's efforts to learn more quickly on the channel. An example of this would be we launched an AI product called AI Infinity Testing. What it does is it allows marketers to run thousands of tests in the background against their existing copy as a control so that they can learn what works much faster than doing a couple of A/B tests per quarter. And the AI learns what works and then continues to drive enhancements in the messaging strategy as it sees performance come in. And so that's not about replacing the marketer. It's more like giving our marketers a chance to do something that they could never do before on their own, unless they had, a 1,000-person marketing team, for example. And so
Right.
I really think about AI unlocking opportunities for marketers to have better performance, engage their customers in a whole new way, and give them capabilities that they wouldn't have had otherwise. And I think that's some of the magic that we're seeing with some of the early AI success.
Yeah, this infinity testing. I read about that online. It's so interesting, pretty impressive results. Like, are you able to maybe walk us through, because there's quite a few case studies kind of on the website right now. Is there any one of note that you're like, hey, this very popular D2C brand, they vetted the solutions in the market. They chose us. They implemented our solution, and with this infinity testing going on in the background. And then here's the incremental lift that happened because they've implemented our solution. Hopefully, I don't put you on the spot here, but it'd just be great. I see some great brands on here.
Yeah.
And some great case studies. Anyone of note that you'd like to share today?
Yeah, of course. I'll highlight, lots of our customers are using the Infinity Testing product, but I'll highlight a True Classic Tees as an example. The Infinity Testing product is one that affects browse abandonment and abandoned cart messaging. Those messages are extremely high value and they happen in the background all the time. But marketers typically are not changing their approach to those messages very often. And so what Infinity Testing does is it took True Classic's standard abandoned cart message and started testing out a bunch of hypotheses about what might make it perform better. And these hypotheses would be things like, should we text from a name as opposed to just saying hey, you left something in your cart? Should we say, hey, this is Shayna from True Classic Tees, you left something in your cart? Should we experiment with urgency messaging? Should the offer be, we're running out, go back to the store right now? Or should it be more open-ended? Is there a bundle that you're looking for on the site that I can help you with? What types of actual copy tweaks should we be making? And it tests all these things at once by putting variants to actual customers and controlling or looking at the results versus the control group. So we use the existing True Classic Tees abandoned cart message as a holdout test against all of our experimentation. And the results for True Classic were that we were able to improve their abandoned cart performance by 29%, measured by earnings per message. Now you can imagine that this compounds massively. They're sending thousands of abandoned messages every single day. And so being able to automatically apply 29% lift against thousands of messages that are happening every single day, basically in the background, without the True Classic Tees team having to really lift a finger, is really, really scaling their marketing team's efforts, being able to provide meaningful lift. And that's just one example of what customers are seeing from using PostScript's AI Infinity Testing suite of tools. And that's just the beginning. The really exciting thing about these types of results is yes, 29% lift on EPMs is really impressive. The thing that's really exciting, though, is that the AI is learning across all of these experiments, and it's getting better and better and better. And we're going to be able to apply those models that we're seeing learn on the abandoned carts to other parts of True Classic T's SMS program. And so eventually the True Classic team, the owned marketing team there, will have, quote unquote, this like companion, right? Like this AI that's been trained to find lift for their particular audience underneath their particular set of SKUs to drive meaningful lift. And when that can be applied everywhere across their account, then we can really show broad-based, meaningful lift driven by AI, which I think is, the future that we're headed towards. We're really excited about these early results, but I'm even more excited about what we're learning in the background.
Yeah, this is amazing. I have a question around, and this came up a lot in other conversations I've had with brands. They were talking about like, how do I get a proper legal opt-in correctly? Because all of this only works, certainly in North America, by having kind of a legal opt-in and saying someone has decided that they want to, if it's Classic Tees or Dr. Squatch or whoever, they decide that they want to be involved in their SMS, whatever the campaign is. It could be a VIP offer. It could be a custom drop. There's all different like kind of scenarios. Like, what have you seen working quite successfully? Because it seems like the owned channel, I know you're saying it's 50-50 now, where a lot of people are like, build your email list has been like touted for years because that's like an owned channel that you can usually reach out to your customers directly. So is SMS, but it seems that the opt-in rates of SMS sometimes aren't as high as maybe email because they feel that, I know you're saying the channel's matured, but whenever I get a text message in, like all of a sudden I'm to my phone instantly where I don't get instant notifications in email. And so I can see why the engagement levels are higher on that, but it also means it's more personal that I am getting notifications. So my thought is that, okay, how do people get, like, are there tools baked into PostScript to saying, hey, here's how we connect to Shopify, and here's some of the things that we believe work really well. Maybe to get both, maybe it's working with another tech partner, I don't know, like Gatsby.ai or another tool to get Instagram opt-ins, and then slowly work your way up of getting an email and getting an SMS is all part of a flow. So I just want to throw that back to you. Like, what have you seen successfully getting these phone numbers?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a couple pieces to this. The first is there is a compliance landscape associated with this, as I think you rightfully pointed out.
100%, yeah.
There is the TCPA, which governs a lot of the consumer protections around what happens on the handset. It's baked into PostScript to make sure that our customers are maintaining compliant records and are opting people in a compliant way. Our pop-ups, for example, have all of that language directly in the pop-ups themselves. I will say, like, from being an observer of how people are doing SMS across the ecosystem, not everybody, actually a surprising amount of people, do not have compliant pop-ups or compliant opt-in methods for SMS. And I don't wish for anybody to end up in a legal kerfuffle over their opt-ins, but that, unfortunately, in the United States, we're a very, litigious society. That happens. And I think a lot of people think it can't happen to them until it does. And then they're in a situation where they have to, potentially find ways to settle what we would consider these frivolous lawsuits. This is like similar to, I think, what people in the Shopify ecosystem have experienced with like ADA regulations on the site as well. Similar sort of pattern. So PostScript obviously protects our customers on that as much as we possibly can. We offer compliance services as well. So when people are bringing us a list that they are not sure whether or not it's been captured compliantly or not, we'll help them do an audit to make sure that we're mitigating their compliance risk when they're bringing their program over to PostScript. As far as opt-ins go, the by far number one way to build your SMS and email list is via a two-step pop-up. That is where most subscribers come through. They usually enter their information into a pop-up in exchange for an offer. The offer does not always have to be a discount. We've seen people have very good success using cash back offers, for example, instead of just raw discounts that eat into margin.
Right.
We've also seen people have a lot of success with gift with purchase offers as well. So there's a lot of things you can put into a pop-up that can drive meaningful email and SMS subscribers. The pop-up, though, is critical to getting scale in your submission rate. And we also built a piece of technology last year called on-site opt-in that radically improved people's ability to collect email and SMS subscribers on desktop and mobile. On-site opt-in, instead of forcing people to reply Y, for example, to double opt into SMS, we offer them the ability to use a one-time passcode that is leveraged through their keyboard while they're on the site. The really meaningful innovation there is that you don't have to make people go off the site into the messaging app to confirm their SMS subscription, which, as you know, is a huge no-no in terms of conversion rate optimization. You don't want to pay money to Meta to drive traffic to your Shopify store and then immediately have them go open their messaging app to go find your offer. You'd rather them stay on the site. And we have solved the issue of getting double opt-in SMS confirmation while maintaining the actual session through our on-site opt-in technology. And that's baked into all of PostScript's list growth products.
I see. Yeah, there's one product that I noticed on the website too that seemed new to me, and I guess because I've been out of the fold a bit for a year and a bit from Shopify, was the PostScript Plus, which I think is somehow leveraging some of your in-house kind of strategists that actually help run and manage an account for a business. So can you talk a little bit about what that is, and then what's the sweet spot of a merchant that may see value in saying, "Hey, I love your technology, PostScript, but I feel that I have a headcount issue, or I just have just an excellence issue. I just don't know what great looks like. And are you able to help me?" And I think short answer is yes through this new service you have. But can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we all know that every Shopify merchant out there is strapped for time. Nobody has, a giant, multi-hundred person marketing team to go do everything perfectly. And so we have a range of services that we offer for people in different situations. One thing that PostScript Plus offers is called Launch, which is really well suited for people who are just getting started with SMS and want to start off with an excellent program and learn the ropes from us. It's a, few month engagement that, gets the program up and running in the best possible way. And then we kind of hand the keys back to the team to continue on, the path that gets set up through PostScript Plus Launch. There's also an option just to have us manage the program overall. And that's really for people who want to make SMS as performant of a channel as possible. An interesting thing is we actually do deliver that service alongside even third-party agencies that are partnered with customers. And so I think that service is really for people who are trying to max out their results and have a huge SMS presence. So I would say if your subscriber list is, for example, over 750,000 subscribers, that means that there's enough scale, enough impressions to deliver via SMS that we could really drive meaningful performance. And I think that's a really good time to talk to the PostScript team about the PostScript Plus offering, because what will ensure is that we are taking every dollar off the table that we possibly can. And when you are sending to a list that is, 750,000 subs, 1 million subs, 2 million subs, 5 million subs, the SMS bills can get pretty big. And so you're going to want to make sure that you're doing the best possible thing you can on this channel, that you're taking every dollar off the channel that you possibly can get and feel like you're getting the highest possible efficiency. That is really a good time to engage with our PostScript Plus team.
All right, perfect. I'll make sure I put some notes for that in this show, because I think that's interesting, because there are going to be a lot of mid-market to enterprise brands that are exactly in that sweet spot. They may be unhappy with the performance of the results that they currently have with their current SMS provider. And, maybe this is an opportunity to kind of see what PostScript has, and then can we hold some hands for 3 to 6 months to really ramp things up? And I think that's a really great opportunity. for those that are listening. Another thing that I've been thinking about too, and when brands choose to vet and choose a new tech partner, one of the objections that come up in saying, hey, do you play nicely with my existing pieces of technology? Just Shopify as its core, it has a lot of data. Like, it's the source of truth for a lot of people. I know some people do have CRMs, they do have ERPs and different things that they connect to Shopify. Like, I get all that as a business scales. But I just want to throw it back to you and saying like, what's the methodology or the mindset around working with other technology partners, other apps and marketing platforms that maybe connect to an existing store, and then all of a sudden we start bolting on PostScript as part of that channel? I just want to know how nicely everything is talking to each other, because the worst thing I always find, whenever I used to get new accounts at Shopify, the first thing I would do is I would go to their apps page and I would take a look and do an app audit, and I'm going, okay, you have 47 apps running in here. Okay, can you explain to me why you've chosen all of these? And a lot of times, a lot of brands have no clue as to why, because marketing people have come and gone, or there's been some duct tape for certain things to do this, that. Drives me crazy. And the more apps you add, it's more JavaScript and more things going on, and just slows down the site. And so throw back to you, the mindset around technology connections as it relates to PostScript and Shopify's kind of core data.
Yeah, absolutely. So PostScript we consider ourselves a best-in-class provider. And what I mean by that is we only focus on SMS. Our mission is to drive as much revenue as we possibly can through the SMS channel on behalf of our customers. So that also implies what we're not doing. So we don't do email. We don't have loyalty. We don't do reviews. We are trying to be the best SMS provider that we can possibly be. Now, taking that position in the market requires us to do a few things. One, we have to integrate with the entire Shopify ecosystem. So we have built and maintained hundreds of integrations with all of the major Shopify apps. That includes the ESPs that also, in some cases, offer SMS software as well. So I'll just use an example. We have a extremely good bi-directional integration with Klaviyo, for example, because we need to play nice with email, especially when we think about pop-up technology. It not only collects SMS numbers, it also collects email. So where do those go, and how are we able to make sure that those are integrating into the email program appropriately? Those are all like core tenets of how we build. And so I think you would be hard pressed to find a piece of Shopify ecosystem technology that doesn't play nice with PostScript. In addition to that, because we are Shopify focused, we have a very, very deep integration into the Shopify backend. And we really use and leverage everything that we can get out of the Shopify data set and the core platform to power a lot of what we do. And so I also think you would be hard pressed to find another technology provider in the Shopify ecosystem who has as comprehensive of an integration with Shopify as PostScript does as well. And those are just things that if we're going to be in the SMS lane and try to really, really go deep on just this channel, which is what we've done to this point, that requires us to make sure that we're a great integration partner and that we are deeply integrated with the core platform, which is Shopify. So we take both those things really, really seriously.
What's interesting is you achieved the Shopify Plus kind of certified technology partner status too. So let's not brush that over, because that's the scalability and the reliability and the data handling. And there's 7 or 8 criteria. It's really hard. There's only, I think as of today's recording, maybe 110 technology partners, and there's 8,000 apps in the Shopify App Store. There's only 110 have actually become Plus certified technology partners. So kudos to the technology and your team. Once again, flag in the sand, but doing the necessary work and all the audits and things, because there's some big, bad, massive brands that use your solution, and it's very painful. A lot of these are like VC backed. Some are even public companies that are running, SMS, and it's extremely important that the brand has chosen Shopify. They want to make sure that the couple of tech partners they've also chosen also have the same kind of quality and data handling that they would expect from Shopify.
Yep, 100%. It's really, really important that we are meeting all of the requirements and that we're staying up to date with what's happening in the Shopify ecosystem. Like you said, lots and lots of 9-figure brands use PostScript as their SMS provider. And so it's really important for us to be, always on not only the bleeding edge of what's happening in SMS, but also on the cutting edge of what's happening in Shopify. And so we like I said, we take both those things very, very seriously.
Let's talk a bit about the innovation. I just think about AI in general and the advancements that happen. I use it consistently every single day with like content production, sometimes even podcast show notes, even Q&A for the podcast. There's ways of like, how can AI enhance, the human component of being, just into this industry and understanding it more, but then giving more insights and more ideas. Like from your perspective, are you seeing anything interesting in the SMS kind of world that's an exciting development? I'm not asking for the public roadmap for PostScript, but are you seeing anything on the roadmap saying, hey, here's what we do really well today, and we execute at a really high level, but we believe that here's where SMS might be headed, and here's some of the R&D that we're kind of working on that maybe, because I guess I ask this question a lot because, if a brand makes a decision to go with a tech partner, they want to feel warm and fuzzy that, you're solving my needs today, but like, are you planning for other things that are coming down the pike? And so that's where I'm going to pass the baton to you and let me know what's on your mind.
Yeah, Steve, you're speaking our language here. This is what we always tell people is like, why should we partner with somebody who is focused on just SMS versus, some sort of consolidated solution? And one of the reasons is that because we're focused so deeply on SMS, you can guarantee that we're always going to be at the forefront of innovation on the channel. And I actually think that's only going to get more pronounced as AI becomes more prevalent in the suite of e-commerce software. So what we're seeing in SMS is really being able to leverage AI to lean in to what is it that makes SMS special. We often forget this because everyone's been so trained on the email paradigm. But what makes SMS special is it's two-way by nature. It is the only channel that people have access to that is meant for a two-way conversation to happen. And what we believe is that AI is going to unlock the ability to lean into the conversational nature of the channel at scale. And if you think about like what are marketers after? What's the North Star for marketers everywhere? If you told a marketer to forget everything they've ever known, what's the best way to leverage a marketing plan to an audience? Is they would say like, well, the best possible thing that we could do would be to create a custom marketing plan for every person. But that's not possible. Like true one-to-one marketing for every single person is too difficult. It's not scalable. We couldn't possibly know every customer that way. We couldn't develop creative for every single person. So let's do the next best thing. And the next best thing is what we do now, which is like one-to-many marketing. We batch people up into segments and we try to create a message that makes sense for them. So we say, what's the best message we could do to, 30-day since their last purchase, haven't clicked in 2 weeks, and we try to create a message there. I believe, and PostScript believes fundamentally, that AI is going to put the potential for one-to-one marketing back on the table because it's going to solve the scale problem for a lot of marketers out there. And we feel very excited, also very lucky to be working on the channel that is naturally two-way by nature. So I really think the center of the SMS universe as it relates to AI innovation is going to be squarely focused on conversations, the scale of those conversations, and the value that not only we can give to customers through conversations, but also what can we learn from those conversations to improve our marketing across a huge range of channels. And so we are really, really excited about the future of conversational as it relates to AI. And we're going to be very, very focused on driving revenue generating solutions that leverage AI that kind of squarely fit into the conversational bucket.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me old school of this RFM modeling, this recency, frequency, monetization strategy, and exactly these buckets you're talking about active and at risk and churned customers, and then analyzing data and saying, okay, well, the average person, usually buys the second product during this kind of like time window. So we better send them a message during that time window, because if not, they're going to go into the churned bucket and eventually not make a second purchase. Because we all know that, a lot of brands are like, net zero or net negative on their first transaction, just
Right.
because of CPA and ROAS and things like that. And so how do we get the second sale? And I think that's where PostScript is really fitting into this mix. If you're talking about this two-way communication, like this natural kind of back and forth conversations between a brand and a customer, I think that, being somewhat automated, maybe even paired with like human agents for a little bit more authenticity, that's really interesting that this is where it's all headed, because I think that's unique. Even the comment you made early in the show about like, how do we communicate with this particular person? Do we recommend them by name, or, hey, pickleball player? Like, it's just so interesting that there's all these different ways of interacting with a business, and, and you're selectively deciding all this. It feels like it's, instead of one to many, it does feel like it's one to one because of all of these things going on in the background.
Yeah, I think it's really the thing that when you're talking about your recency, frequency, bucketing people into these segments, marketers today, we call that, when we do marketing along those lines, we call it personalized. And what I would challenge marketers to think about is that's not really personal. Like, what's really personal to somebody, let's say, Steve, that I was trying to get you to buy something, it's like, instead of calling it personalized, when you say, well, Steve is a person who is in the like lapsed 120-day bucket of, clickers who saw a meta ad in the last 20 days, that's not really personal. What would really be personal is being able to go to Steve and say, hey, Steve is shopping for his nephew whose birthday is in 45 days. His nephew happens to like, Roblox. And that is actually very interesting, actual personal information that could help you deliver a very value-added experience. You've never been able to get that type of data at scale. If you really think about like, where does that context come from? It comes from having a conversation with the person. There's no other way you could really know that. And so I think the concept of what we consider to be personalized in marketing is going to radically change as a result of the scale that AI is going to be able to provide to marketers over the next year or so. And I think that'll just really, really advance the type of relationships that we're going to be able to have with customers, because people talk about their relationships with their customers all the time. And what they're really talking about is, how can I bucket people in my relational database? They don't know their customers. But I think in the future, we're going to get a lot closer to actually knowing customers on a one-to-one basis. And that's going to unlock an insane amount of marketing opportunity.
Yeah. And it's interesting how by phone number, it's just almost like an email address or a website visitor. There's like, a hashed kind of like customer ID for someone who comes to the website, either known or unknown site visitor. And I know there's tools to kind of reveal these email addresses, the retentions and the open send and these sort of kind of gray area-ish tools that can give people email addresses of unknown site visitors or the non-opted in people. It's a whole different situation, I know, when it comes to SMS, just from the legal part of it, getting to your phone and stuff. But it's interesting that once you kind of have that legal opt-in, it's so interesting that, in the future, I'm totally with you on it about the best practices about how can we communicate directly to these customers, kind of in a friendly, kind of personal tone. But imagine knowing the details. And then as there's communication happening, either through an AI bot or through a human edit or a human kind of like a team member, all of a sudden that data is being stored and then analyzed and used maybe for future marketing opportunities, because it like exactly like the Roblox example and who we were buying for, and all of a sudden and then all the history that goes along with that particular phone number and the brand. All of a sudden, how can we use some of this? Can we use like these words? How do we transcribe that into a next offer, not just this RFM modeling offer, but using actual communication back and forth between brand and customer and utilize that data.
Yeah, 100%. The bar for personalization, the bar for what does it mean to really develop a relationship with an end user or customer is going to go way up because AI is going to unlock tons of new possibilities, a lot of which haven't probably even been explored yet. And, for us at PostScript, we're really, really excited to be, on the forefront of this new frontier and exploring all of the potential opportunities. And so I would say that while I can't predict the future, I would say if you're a PostScript customer, you should be really excited about the AI innovation roadmap that's going to be coming onto the platform over the next 12 months.
Yeah, it's amazing. So I can guarantee you there's going to be many listeners right now that are thinking, okay, Mike, this sounds great. How do I get started? And so I'll throw it back to you. Like, what do you believe kind of the next steps are? People are listening now. They're like, hey, how do I learn more about the platform, see if it's a good fit? What am I currently doing or not doing? And then how can PostScript help me? Where do you want to send our listeners to next?
Yeah, PostScript.io is the best place to go to get in touch with us. We try to make it really simple. You can one-click install our app off of the Shopify App Store if you like. You can request a demo and talk to one of our awesome humans. What that process will look like is we will not only tell you about how our platform works, but we'll actually provide you an audit to understand where the opportunities to grow your SMS program really are. That's a free of charge, no obligation type of thing. If it doesn't work out and you want to take our recommendations and implement them on your existing program, that's totally fine with us. We're just trying to help people make as much money on the channel as they possibly can. But if you come through the front door at PostScript, we will make sure that we are giving you an idea of where we think the opportunities are and what's possible. High level, for people who are wondering, like, why should I choose PostScript over maybe all of the other options in there? We try to keep this very, very simple. If you want to make the most possible money from your SMS channel that you can, that is where we are focused. We are focused on driving better results for your SMS spend than anywhere else. That's why brands like True Classic and Ridge and Thrive Cosmetics and Ruggable and Caraway and Hexclad and all the rest trust us with their SMS program because they want to create great experiences that drive tons of revenue and are highly efficient. And that's really where we play. So if that sounds amazing. Like you, if you want to take it to the next level, please go to PostScript.io and we'll make sure to take care of you.
I see in the corner, book a demo. So I see that link. I'll have this in the show notes. Also, one thing I got to shout out to is you have a really amazing portal called Fantastic Texts, which is really, really neat. And you can see other brands using it and some really good inspiration here. I watched a couple of these videos and stuff from people that are actually using your tool and showing how the SMS actually worked. And it really opens up your mind. There's opportunity here. There's a lot of public sharing about the success of using PostScript. And it's on the website too, under resources and stuff. Fantastic text. It's amazing.
Awesome. Thanks, Steve. Yeah, we really love sharing the success stories of our customers. So you can find those all over in our blog under Fantastic Text in our resource center. I think a core strategy of ours or a core tenet of PostScript is we want to evangelize the channel and show people what does it mean to be doing SMS well. And so there's tons of resources all over PostScript.io where you can learn more about that.
That's lovely. All right, Mike. Well, once again, thank you so much for coming on the show. Very eye-opening. Thank God for AI. I think this is really, it's incredible of kind of what's been going on. I haven't had PostScript on in quite a few years. It's exciting about this infinity testing solution that's going on in the background. I've learned a lot today, and I think, you'd be hard-pressed to find any other solution. I totally agree with you. I'm going to harp on it a tiny bit more, but I think there's a lot of Swiss Army knives out there when it comes to kind of MarTech in general. I just love the fact you're a Plus technology partner. I love the fact that you only do SMS. And, I think that just shows your superpower in the space. And I just want to thank you for coming on the show and sharing today.
Thanks, Steve. I'm happy to be back anytime.
All right. Sounds good. All right. Have a great afternoon. Well, that's it for today's episode. I'd like to thank you personally for being a loyal listener of eCommerce Fastlane. It's my hope that this podcast is offering you a ton of value through growth strategies, tactics, and exclusive insider tips on the best Shopify apps and marketing platforms, all with my personal goal to help you build, manage, grow, and scale a successful and thriving company powered by Shopify. Thanks for investing some time today and listening to the show. I'm so proud and excited that you have a growth mindset and are a constant learner. I truly appreciate you and your entrepreneurial journey. Enjoy the rest of the week and keep thriving with Shopify.